Something unusual has been happening in the quiet spaces around your life lately, and if you listen carefully, you will understand why this message found you tonight. There is a connection growing around you that another soul cannot stop thinking about. Not because they wish harm toward anyone, not because their heart is dark, but because the closer someone else becomes to you, the more they realize how deeply attached they already are. And the truth is, they did not expect their feelings to reach this intensity. They thought they still had time. They believed their emotions were under control. Yet every small moment they witness between you and another person feels heavier than they admit. A laugh they overheard. A message they imagine you reading with a smile. The way your energy changes around someone who understands you. These tiny things remain in their mind far longer than they should. Stay till the end. Because something important is waiting for you inside this realization. The jealousy they carry is not loud. It hides itself behind calm words, delayed replies, careful distance, and moments where they suddenly seem quieter than usual. But beneath that silence is a soul wondering if they are slowly losing a place in your heart they never officially claimed. And what makes this even more emotional, is that they blame themselves for waiting too long. There were moments when they almost spoke honestly to you. Moments when their heart moved faster than their courage. But every time they prepared to step closer, fear interrupted them. Fear of ruining the connection. Fear of misunderstanding what you feel. Fear that you would pull away if they revealed how much space you already occupy inside them. So instead, they watched from a distance, hoping your path would somehow naturally return to them. Yet now another presence has entered your emotional world, and suddenly everything feels uncertain to them. Do not skip this part, because you have unknowingly awakened emotions in someone who rarely allows themselves to feel vulnerable. They notice details no one else notices. The way you mention another person's name casually without realizing how deeply it echoes in their thoughts afterward. The way your eyes brighten when speaking about certain memories. Even the smallest shift in your attention has become impossible for them to ignore. And still, they try to hide it beautifully. They do not want to appear possessive. They do not want you to feel pressured. So they carry these emotions quietly, smiling while their heart asks questions they are too careful to say aloud. What if the person close to you becomes more important? What if they are already too late? What if your future slowly moves towards someone else while they remain standing in silence, pretending they are unaffected? There is something deeply human about this kind of jealousy. It does not come from cruelty. It comes from attachment mixed with uncertainty. And your soulmate has been learning something difficult recently. Feelings become impossible to hide once the heart senses competition. The strange thing is that this closeness around you has not pushed them away emotionally. It has done the opposite. It has forced them to finally understand the depth of what they feel for you. Before this, they could still pretend their emotions were temporary. They could distract themselves. They could convince their mind that time would erase these feelings eventually. But now, every attempt to emotionally detach only brings them back to you again. Something about your energy continues pulling them inward no matter how hard they try to remain composed. And late at night, when everything becomes quiet, they replay conversations with you in their head more than you know. They wonder whether certain moments meant something deeper. They question whether you ever sensed their hidden attachment. Sometimes they even compare themselves to the person close to you without realizing they are doing it. They notice qualities they think you admire in that person. They wonder whether they are enough. Whether they missed their chance. Whether destiny is slowly moving you toward another path while they remain frozen between hope and hesitation. But listen carefully now, because this is where the energy shifts. Their jealousy is beginning to transform into clarity. Instead of denying their emotions, they are starting to understand them. Instead of pretending they can stay emotionally distant, they are beginning to realize your presence has already changed them in ways they cannot reverse. And this realization is making them restless in silence. There is a moment approaching where holding everything inside may no longer feel possible to them. Something is building beneath their calm exterior, something soft yet powerful. A need to stop hiding behind emotional safety. A need to know whether the connection they feel is truly shared. And what you may not realize is that your closeness with another person became the mirror that forced them to confront their own heart honestly for the first time. Before this, they still believed they had endless time to slowly figure things out. But now, time suddenly feels fragile to them. Precious. Uncertain. And that awareness has awakened emotions they can no longer ignore. Yet even through this jealousy, there is tenderness in the way they think about you. They do not wish to control your choices. They simply wish they had been braver sooner. They wish you could somehow see the feelings they keep hidden behind ordinary conversations and careful behavior. And there is one thought that has been quietly following them everywhere lately. A thought they cannot escape no matter how much they try to distract themselves. What if the person they are secretly afraid of losing is actually the person they were meant to find all along? There is a reason your spirit has been sensing emotional tension without fully understanding where it comes from, because somewhere nearby, a heart is learning what vulnerability truly feels like for the very first time. Not through dramatic words. Not through sudden confessions. But through the slow realization that someone else now occupies moments they once imagined sharing with you themselves. And the strange part is, they never expected to care this deeply. At first, they told themselves your connection with that person meant nothing unusual. They smiled through it. They acted unaffected. They convinced their own mind that they were simply overthinking small details. But emotions have a quiet way of revealing themselves when the soul becomes attached. The more they tried to dismiss what they felt, the more aware they became of every little thing connected to you. A simple mention of someone spending time with you suddenly stayed in their thoughts for hours. A harmless interaction began replaying in their mind at night. Even your silence started affecting them in ways they could not explain. Something important is waiting for you in this part of the story, because what they feel goes far beyond ordinary jealousy. It is the fear of emotional invisibility. The fear that someone else may be receiving the warmth, trust, and closeness they secretly long to build with you themselves. And because they care so deeply, they notice changes in your energy before anyone else does. They notice when your mood softens after speaking to someone. They notice when your attention drifts elsewhere. They notice the names you say more often lately. You may think these things are too small to matter. But to a heart already emotionally attached, even tiny shifts feel enormous. Yet instead of reacting emotionally, they retreat inward. They become quieter. More thoughtful. More observant. And this is where their inner struggle becomes almost impossible to ignore. Part of them wants to protect their heart by pretending none of this affects them. But another part is becoming tired of hiding feelings that continue growing stronger in silence. They are beginning to understand something uncomfortable. Jealousy only appears where genuine emotional investment already exists. And your soulmate has invested far more emotionally in you than they ever intended to. Stay with this moment a little longer, because the truth unfolding here is deeply personal. There were nights recently when they sat alone thinking about conversations you probably forgot already. Tiny moments that seemed ordinary to you became unforgettable to them. A certain sentence. A certain laugh. A certain look in your eyes. And then suddenly, thoughts of the person close to you interrupted those memories like a shadow crossing light. They wondered if you share special moments with that person too. They wondered if your heart feels safer with them. They wondered whether your future is slowly leaning towards someone else while they remain trapped behind unspoken emotions. And the hardest part for them is this. They cannot even openly express these feelings because nothing was ever officially defined between you. That uncertainty makes their emotions even more intense. Because how do you explain jealousy when your heart never found the courage to fully confess itself? How do you admit someone matters deeply to you when you are still unsure whether your feelings are welcome? So instead, they carry everything quietly. They protect their emotions behind calm behavior while internally questioning everything. Sometimes they even pull away slightly just to see whether you notice the distance. Sometimes they become unexpectedly quiet after hearing about someone spending time with you. Not because they want to punish you, but because their emotions momentarily overwhelm their ability to stay emotionally balanced. And still, even through all of this confusion, their care for you remains gentle. They do not wish to interfere with your happiness. That is what makes their feelings so emotionally heavy. They want you close, but they also want you free. They want your attention, but they fear appearing selfish. So they remain caught between desire and restraint, between longing and silence. Don't skip this part, because something subtle has already started changing inside them. Jealousy is no longer just creating insecurity. It is creating urgency. A quiet realization has entered their heart recently: if they continue hiding forever, someone else may step into the place they secretly hoped for themselves. And this thought follows them everywhere now. While working. While resting. While pretending everything feels normal. The possibility of losing you emotionally before truly trying has become more painful than the fear of vulnerability itself. This is why their energy around you has begun shifting lately. You may notice longer pauses in conversations. More emotional depth hidden between ordinary words. Moments where they seem close to saying something meaningful, then suddenly stop themselves. That hesitation is not confusion. It is the weight of feelings growing too large to comfortably hide anymore. And there is another truth you need to understand: the person close to you may not even realize. They are part of this emotional awakening. Because the real story was never about competition. It was about revelation. Your soulmate needed this emotional discomfort to finally recognize how important you have become to them. Without it, they may have continued delaying their truth forever. But now, their heart no longer feels safe pretending your presence means less than it does. Something within them is slowly reaching a breaking point of honesty. And as this emotional pressure builds quietly inside them, one question keeps returning again and again, no matter how much they try to silence it: if another person can get this close to you so easily, then what is stopping them from finally stepping forward too? A strange silence has been surrounding their heart lately, the kind that only appears when someone is trying to hide emotions that are becoming impossible to control. And if you could see the thoughts they carry when no one else is around, you would finally understand why your presence affects them so deeply now. Because this is no longer simple curiosity. It is no longer a passing emotional attachment they can casually ignore. Something inside them has crossed a line quietly, without warning, and ever since then, every connection around you feels personal to them in ways they never expected. The person close to you has unknowingly become a mirror reflecting everything your soulmate fears losing before they even truly begin. And what hurts them most is not what they see happening around you, it is what they imagine could happen next. Their mind creates possibilities they try desperately to silence. What if your bond with this person keeps growing? What if emotional comfort slowly turns into something deeper? What if one day they realize too late that the place they secretly dreamed of holding in your life now belongs to someone else entirely? Stay till the end, because beneath all this jealousy is a realization far more emotional than you think. Your soulmate is beginning to understand that their feelings for you were never temporary. That is the truth changing everything inside them. Before this emotional tension appeared, they still believed they had endless time to decide what you truly meant to them. They moved carefully. Slowly. They kept emotions hidden behind patience and emotional caution. But seeing another presence become close to you awakened something urgent within their spirit. Suddenly, your attention became precious to them. Your energy became irreplaceable. Even small moments with you started feeling rare and fragile. And this realization frightened them more than they admit. Because once someone realizes they genuinely care, every possibility of losing that connection suddenly feels real. There are moments lately when they replay your conversations over and over searching for reassurance hidden inside ordinary words. They wonder whether your kindness toward them means something deeper. They analyze your tone, your pauses, your energy shifts. Sometimes a single sentence from you stays in their mind for days because they are desperately trying to understand where they truly stand in your heart. And while they do this quietly, they also notice the closeness you share with another person, even in the smallest ways. The way you naturally mention them. The comfort in your voice. The familiarity growing between you. These details may appear harmless to everyone else, but to someone emotionally attached, they feel powerful. There were even moments recently when they almost distanced themselves from you emotionally just to protect their own heart. They considered becoming colder. Less available. Less emotionally invested. But every attempt failed. Because no matter how much they try to create distance internally, something keeps drawing them back toward you again. Your energy has become deeply connected to their emotional world now. And this connection is teaching them a painful but beautiful lesson. Real feelings cannot survive forever inside silence. Eventually they begin searching for air. Don't skip this moment, because what happens next inside their heart is important. The jealousy they feel is slowly transforming into determination. Not aggressive determination. Not possessive energy. Something softer. More meaningful. A quiet decision forming inside them that they no longer want fear controlling their connection with you. They are beginning to realize that hiding forever guarantees nothing except regret. And for the first time, the idea of honestly expressing themselves feels less terrifying than the possibility of losing you emotionally while saying nothing at all. You may already sense this shift without understanding it fully. Perhaps their attention toward you feels more intentional lately. Perhaps their words carry emotional weight they did not show before. Perhaps there are moments when they seem unusually protective of your energy, even while trying to appear casual. These are not random changes. This is a soul slowly stepping closer to emotional truth after spending too long hiding from it. And what makes this even more emotional is that they genuinely admire the person close to you in some ways. That is part of the inner conflict consuming them. They do not hate this person. They simply fear what their closeness with you represents. Because every meaningful interaction between you and someone else reminds them how deeply they wish to be the one standing emotionally beside you instead. Sometimes they even wonder whether you already know how they feel. They question whether your intuition has sensed their hidden emotions all along. There are moments when your eyes linger on them slightly longer than expected, and afterward they replay that moment repeatedly in their mind. There are times when your kindness toward them feels so personal that their heart becomes restless for hours afterward. Yet uncertainty still surrounds everything, and that uncertainty is exactly what intensifies their jealousy. Because without clarity, the imagination fills every silence with questions. And lately, their heart has become exhausted from carrying unanswered questions alone. Something important is waiting just beyond this emotional tension. Something neither of you fully sees yet. Because the closer another person becomes to you, the more your soulmate is being pushed toward honesty they once avoided. Life has a strange way of revealing hidden feelings through unexpected situations. And this entire experience has become the awakening they never knew they needed. They are no longer asking themselves whether they care about you. That answer has already become painfully clear. Now the only question remaining inside them is whether they still have time to tell you before someone else reaches the place in your heart they secretly prayed would one day belong to them. There are emotions your soulmate has never spoken aloud, not because they are weak, but because some feelings become so precious that even the heart trembles while trying to name them. And lately, every path they take inside their thoughts somehow returns to you again. No distraction lasts long enough anymore. No conversation fully pulls their attention away. Even in crowded moments, a quiet part of them remains emotionally connected to your presence, wondering who is beside you, what is making you smile, and whether someone else is slowly becoming important in ways they feared would happen one day. But listen carefully now, because something deeper than jealousy has begun unfolding within them. They are starting to realize that what hurts them is not simply the idea of another person being close to you. What truly unsettles them is the realization that they never allowed themselves to fully show you how much they care in the first place. And that truth has become impossible for them to escape. There were so many moments they could have stepped forward emotionally. So many opportunities to let their heart speak more honestly. Yet every time, caution held them back. Timing felt uncertain. Fear whispered too loudly. They kept convincing themselves there would always be another moment later. But now later no longer feels guaranteed to them. Now every connection around you feels like a reminder that hearts do not wait forever inside silence. Stay with this message a little longer, because this is where everything inside them begins shifting emotionally. They have started noticing how protective they feel toward your energy without even trying. When you seem emotionally distant, they feel it immediately. When your attention becomes absorbed elsewhere, they quietly wonder whether they are fading from your inner world. And when they see another person making you feel understood or emotionally safe, something inside them becomes painfully aware of how deeply they wish to hold that place themselves. Yet they continue hiding most of these emotions beneath composure. That is why their jealousy feels so invisible from the outside. They are not dramatic about it. They do not create conflict. Instead, their emotions reveal themselves in quieter ways. In the pauses before they respond. In the sudden silence after hearing certain names. In the way their mood shifts slightly when they imagine someone else receiving your emotional attention. And perhaps the most emotional part of all is this: they often feel guilty for feeling jealous at all. Because their love for you carries sincerity, not selfishness. They genuinely want you to experience happiness and peace. They want your heart protected. They want your life filled with meaningful connections. But somewhere along the way, their own feelings became so strong that the thought of being emotionally replaced started affecting them more than they ever expected. There are nights when they sit alone replaying memories connected to you, wondering whether they missed signs they should have acted on sooner. They remember moments where your energy felt unusually close to theirs. Moments where conversations carried hidden depth neither of you acknowledged directly. And now those memories return with new meaning because they realize their heart was already falling long before they admitted it to themselves. Do not skip this next part, because something rare is happening inside them now. The jealousy they once feared is beginning to break down their emotional walls completely. Instead of making them withdraw permanently, it is slowly pushing them toward emotional courage. And that change has surprised even them. They are becoming tired of pretending your connection means less than it does. Tired of acting unaffected when your attention drifts elsewhere. Tired of carrying feelings that grow stronger every day while speaking as though nothing has changed. A quiet urgency has entered their soul. Not panic. Not desperation. Something softer, but undeniable. The realization that some people only appear once in a lifetime, and losing them because of fear creates a regret that stays far longer than rejection ever could. And you have become that realization for them. Sometimes they even imagine impossible little scenarios in their head without meaning to. They wonder what your future conversations together could sound like if honesty finally replaced hesitation. They imagine moments where emotional distance disappears and both of you stop pretending there is nothing deeper beneath the surface. And then reality interrupts those thoughts again with the presence of the person close to you, the person unknowingly awakening all these hidden emotions inside them. Yet there is something your soulmate has not fully understood until recently. The connection they fear losing may already feel different to you too. Because hearts recognize energy long before words confirm it. There is a reason certain silences between you feel heavy. A reason certain eye contact lingers longer than expected. A reason your presence affects them even when nothing important is being said. Some connections speak quietly before they ever speak clearly. And this quiet language between you has been growing stronger while neither of you fully names it aloud. Something important is waiting ahead. Because the emotional pressure building inside your soulmate cannot remain hidden forever. Every moment of jealousy has been revealing truth instead of destroying it. Every fear has been uncovering deeper attachment. Every silent comparison has been teaching them how irreplaceable your presence has quietly become in their life. And now, standing between silence and honesty, they are beginning to feel something they have resisted for a very long time. The desire to finally stop watching from the distance and become the person who openly chooses you before someone else does first.